My previous video really was a downer, wasn't it? Probably kind of a depressing video to watch. I mean, I had just gotten home from work, and I was actually really sick, and I was also trying to, keep it down so that it wouldn't wake anyone up because I was home for Christmas. But I just got home from work and I was sick, and I log on and Disney dropped Narnia. No, initially it seemed like very depressing news, and so I tried to explain myself at the end, but it did come across as a lot more depressing than it actually was. And so I really felt like I had to kind of post another video and really clarify some of my thoughts. And there hasn't been a lot of news about it, but there has been a lot of discussion for sure. Now, there is one major piece of news that I do want to talk about. It's this article that's come out of Variety, where it kind of shed some light on some of the reasons behind this decision by Disney to not be involved with Voyage of the Dawn Treader. And I'm going to share some of the reasons why I think Dawn Treader will still get made. Um, so the top headline right now at the time of this recording, it's Walden's still committed to Narnia franchise. Go to narniaweb.com and check it out. It's a fascinating article. It really is very interesting. I'm just going to kind of walk through the most interesting part of it. First off, it says that sources say that Disney and Walden's relationship soured over release date issues. Um, it sounds as if Walden didn't want Prince Caspian to release in summer, and Disney did, and which is pretty much agreed at this point that that's probably the number one reason Prince Caspian had disappointing box office is the fact that it was released between Iron Man and Indiana Jones. It was a really bad time to release it. And now it sounds like are they implying? Basically, it sounds like Disney wanted to release it, Dawn Treader in summer again, another summer release, and Walden said no. And that seems like at least one of the things. We may not be getting the whole story here, but that's definitely one of the things that led to the relationship going bad. So I think this is a really important part that no one really seems to be talking about. Disney wanted to make Dawn Treader, which of course means that they saw profit in making Dawn Treader. They thought that if they made Dawn Treader, they could make money. Now, maybe they want a lower budget, all that. Actually, that's pretty much understood that the initial story was that it was budgetary things they disagreed on. And Disney probably wanted a lower budget, but they still saw profit in making Dawn Treader, that they wanted to make it. What happened was Disney wanted to make it on their terms. Now, maybe there's things we don't know about. Maybe Disney started getting more involved artistically. The whole idea from the beginning has been that Disney would step back, let Walden make their movie, and then Disney would only handle marketing and distribution, and they would co-finance it. Then they split it 50-50 with Walden. That's been the deal the whole time. And whenever a common reaction to Disney being involved in Narnia is, oh no, Disney and Narnia, that's bad. And I always kind of say, no, 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 it's okay, just marketing distribution. But maybe there was a case where Disney was trying to get too involved, and Walden said, hey, back off. And I'm sure something like the C.S. Lewis estate is obviously not going to stand for that. Or maybe Walden was kind of sort of overstepping their jurisdiction. Maybe they were saying, hey, or that's kind of what it sounds like in this article, that Walden was saying, hey, we want to kind of dictate the release date and the marketing of it. And Disney's like, well, that's our job, that's not your job, and that's the reason they split. But I think it's a very important point, the fact that Disney evidently saw profit in making Dawn Treader. They wanted to make it, but they wanted to make it their way. Walden Media wanted to make it their way, and so they split. I think that's a crucial point. And it goes on to say that Disney didn't like having a pushy partner like Walden Media, or I'm sure especially the C.S. Lewis estate would be a pushy partner, of course, and why not? They should be. And that's the reason why. That's the number one reason why I still say that Dawn Treader is going to get made. I think it's extremely pessimistic to this point. I think it's a much more reasonable view to say that it will get made. Now, there's always the question of for what budget? Will it get made at a smaller budget? That's possible, perhaps even likely. They'll get made at a smaller budget. Will it be delayed? Probably. Might be delayed, 6 months, a year, maybe more, but not get made at all. At this point, I think that's a pretty unreasonable view to take. It's possible, I'll say that right now, it's certainly a possibility, but I think the most likely possibility at this point is that it's going to get made by another studio who is more, kind of on the same page as Walden Media. And overall, yet at the end of my previous depressing video, I said, maybe this is a good thing for the series, but I only kind of half believed it. Honestly, I was still kind of feeling kind of down about it. But I was saying, well, it might be a good thing, but I really only kind of half believed it. Now I think I really do believe it. I mean, think about if you disagree, think about what would have happened if Disney was involved. Dawn Treader would probably have been released in the summertime, which would probably have been a bad thing. So, whether you think Dawn Treader is going to get made or not, I think you have to agree that at the end of the day, it's probably a good thing. We're better off now than if Disney had made it. And so I think Dawn Treader will get made. And overall, now I'm serious. I really do believe that this is ultimately good for the series. It'll be very interesting to see which studio picks it up. It'll have to be a studio that's on the same page as Walden Media and is more willing to do it on their terms. They also say some really interesting. Mark Johnson, the producer, says some really interesting things about Prince Caspian, which let me just go over briefly. He says that Caspian was the least commercially viable story, and I'd have to agree with that. Aside from it's very uncinematic, but also a lot of people complain, oh, the magic of Narnia is gone. And it's like, well, duh, that's the whole point. The whole point read the book. The whole point of the story is that the magic from Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe has been driven out by the Telmarines, and now it has to be restored. That's a crucial idea in Prince Caspian. The magic is gone, now it has to be restored. That's a really interesting concept. It's really interesting in the book, and thematically, it's very deep, and I could really, go on for days talking about it, and I have in past videos. But from a marketing point of view, it's like, well, one of the things that people really liked about Wardrobe, the magic of it, is gone. And so from a marketing point of view, that doesn't work. So aside from just being very uncinematic and being one of the lesser liked books, which is a fact, if you disagree, if Prince Caspian is your favorite book, well, it's still a fact that in just about every poll I've ever seen, Prince Caspian is usually 6 or 7, whereas Dawn Treader is usually in the top 3. So that's encouraging. But Johnson also says that Prince Caspian, maybe they should not have made it second. To be honest, I don't disagree with this as much as you would think. And what I mean by that is I am open. Obviously, initially, my thought is probably the same as yours. It's probably, no way. But when you really think about it, and the whole fear, of course, is that one weak link will break the chain, and then the franchise will be dead. If I had to pick one book in the series that if they could all get made except for one, I had to pick the one that didn't get made, I would pick Prince Caspian. It's my least favorite book. It's the least cinematic. So if it was a question of sacrifice Prince Caspian so that the other books can get made, that'd be a sacrifice I'd be willing to make. The problem is I cannot come up with a seamless way they could do this. I can't come up with a decent scenario for how they could either skip Prince Caspian or somehow combine it with Dawn Treader. I've thought about it quite a bit. How would you introduce Caspian for the first time in Dawn Treader? The whole Seven Lords thing would be really weak unless you set it up with Miraz. There are so many things that you really do need Prince Caspian to keep the series going. So I'd be open to it, but I just I can't think of a decent way of doing it. And like the article says, the good news for Walden is the series Dawn Treader is perhaps the most beloved in the series, among fans at least. Wardrobe's obviously the most well known, but Dawn Treader is one of the most well liked. And it's certainly, obviously, every book has its problems, but it's with adaptation, but it is more cinematic than Caspian. You're not going to see them have to do the surgery that was required to bring Prince Caspian to the screen, even though you'll obviously see changes. That ends on an encouraging note saying that Anne Schutz, however you say his name, from Walden Media, is still enamored with Narnia, is still very enthusiastic. Walden still feels like they really want to do this and they're really excited about it. And given the fact that Disney, a huge studio, wanted to do it, I don't see why any other studio wouldn't want to do it. Now, obviously, Disney got mad because they couldn't do it on their terms. Disney, these are also the people that turned down Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter. Remember, they're just such a big studio, and like these franchises, you have to take a risk. You have New Line Cinema. It didn't make any sense to make 3 huge Lord of the Rings movies, but they must have just had a feeling about something and did something completely crazy against the business idea, against the traditional business way, and it paid off. Disney's so big and they have so many interests and so many people invest in the company, they can't really do that. At the end of the day, I say it's good for the series and we will see a Dawn Treader movie one of these days. I don't know when or by who exactly, but we will see a Dawn Treader movie.